Well, we must be connected. We're talking, right? All right, here we go. We're on.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome to Monday morning. A Monday morning, mid-July, somewhere along the way. Not sure what the date is even.
July 22nd.
July 22, late July. I hope yesterday was great. Sunday, hope it was awesome. I hope tomorrow's even better, twice as good. But we're going to talk about winning today. All right. That's the important thing for us here. It's Win the Day podcast, as somebody once said. Here's the thing. MREA, Millionaire Real Estate Agent, is a red book Gary Keller and Jay Papasan wrote with Jenks, Dave Jenks. And what they did is they went out and they studied a bunch of real estate agents and teams and how they were doing it. They came up with processes, systems, ways, all that stuff to do work. They created models. All right. They created models, ways to do things that you could copy if you wanted to, if you so desired. All right. And they're coming out with a new revised version of that now. So you might hear more about it. But I saw James Shaw, who has Pivot Shift podcast, a big thing in the real estate community right now, ask, what is MREA? And so I wanted to talk about that for a quick minute as it relates to me and what MREA is. And again, these are different agents, single teams, groups, whatever, and they've created a different model for many ways. I don't know. Do you know how many models there are, Mark? 6, 4?
There's
four
models.
4 models. Okay. Turn up your volume, Mark. But at any rate, there's these models you can follow based around almost real estate laws. Okay. But as it relates to me, and I'll go through it, I started out, hung my license, number one. 2, you got to pick a brokerage or get your license first. Then you got to hang it somewhere in the state of Florida. So pick a place. I happened to go with a broker who was my wife's broker. She was the buyer agent for him. And so I went there. He didn't want me, and eventually I left. I came to Keller Williams. And the reason why I came to Keller Williams is they gave me an office, and they didn't require anything else of me. I wasn't concerned about the split or the cap or whatever. I was fairly confident I was going to do fairly well. So that was fine. That's probably a bad business model from my standpoint. I got a little lucky. But then, so I started. I hired a real estate coach, day one, Mike Ferry organization, right? And I was taught to get listings. So MREA model, right? Lead gen, get listings. I was taught how to lead gen from the start.
Yeah.
All about lead gen, lead gen, lead gen, lead gen. When you haven't talked enough about lead gen, talk more about lead gen. That's just the way it works. If you don't like that, find another career. And so it was me, and I've told this story on here before. I went from 0 to 43 listings. I don't remember exactly how long it took, probably about 6 or 7 months. No customer service, calling expired listings, all that stuff, right? Didn't have there was no social media then. I didn't have park benches. I had a telephone and a script.
Wait, no Facebook?
No Facebook, no billboards, I think I may have put an ad in Homes and Land magazine for 1 month. I said, that's nuts. And yeah, so no, it was a telephone and a script. And that's what I did. So I had all these listings, sold a lot of them, did all that stuff, right? And then I remember, I won't say the guy's name, but he knocked on my door one day. I'm like, yeah, right? Keep in mind, my office was the size of a broom closet, maybe not even, but it was enough for me to sit there with a telephone, no headset, just a phone, right? Punching keys on a phone. So hello, guy comes in. He's like, do you really have 43 listings? I said, yes, I do. He's like, do you need any help with those? No, I don't. And thank you, but shove off. I'm trying to work here. And he left. But it was shortly thereafter. Keep in mind, I was young, I was dumb, and quite confident in my abilities. Stupid is really what I was. But from there, I got an assistant. And the assistant I got, and the MREA, get an assistant, your hires, get an assistant so you can do more, not have more time to do less, so you have more time to do more. This is where a lot of realtors get into trouble. They'll hire an assistant so they have more time to do less. All right. And they put all the work on the assistant. Bad plan if that's your plan. If you're going to hire an assistant, it's so you have more time so you can go get more business, not so you can hang out at the movie theater or whatever you're doing. Okay. But MREA, hire an assistant. This gal was a new agent, struggling to get out of the gate. She put her career on pause and came on to be our admin, or my admin. Shortly thereafter, when I proved I could do it, my wife came on as a buyer agent. Now we went from John Moran to the Moran team. Worked on that for a while. Now we had a team, right? Buyer agent, admin, listing agent. Well, listing agent first, second, third, admin, and then a buyer agent. And then the broker called me into his office one day, said, hey, I got an agent here, would like to join the team, like to talk to you. Go in there. I tell him about if you have all the inventory, if you own the inventory, you have everyone's your buyer agent. He bought into that theory. He came on as a listing agent, and we became a team in the truest sense. And we changed it from the Moran team to At the Beach team. I wanted my agents to be have some autonomy in their own name, and I also wanted to be able to scale. So when we got to the point where we could go to any beach in the country and be operational. So yeah, that's MREA. I didn't know I was in MREA land. I was being coached and it's just the way it worked out. So then we added some folks, we created processes, we created manuals on how to operate our business and all that stuff. We became a true business. That's MREA. Okay. And then so we roll along it that way. And in the last 5 years, few more years, maybe 10 years, period of time, we started getting into investing, right? We helped a lot of people find, buy, and manage investment properties. And we finally got into it ourselves. We started buying our own product. Okay. That's MREAs too, building wealth. Okay. Always remember, when you're selling real estate, that's income. You need income. But wealth comes from assets that appreciate in value and throw off passive income. That's where wealth shows up in your life. And you should really sell real estate to earn income such that you can buy these assets. And that's how you get to do some things. So ultimately, that's where we're at now. Now we got some programs in place to help people buy and find and manage and all this stuff, and we're growing even more. So what is MREA? MREA is a mindset that there are models out there that others have done. I saw a great quote. I'll make it mine because I don't know who the author is. But it goes something to the effect that you don't have to recreate the wheel. Just bring your wagon, just find another wagon and put that wheel on another wagon. All right. So I've kind of adopted that. Roll your wagon up here. Let's throw a wheel on and get going. Right. Find the wheel that works for you. Hold on, Mark. Find the wheel that works for you. You have options. There's a million ways of doing real estate. I love it, love it, love it. But there are people who have come before you that have taken a lot of the arrows. You don't need to take those arrows, right? Learn from what they do. And you do that through MREA. Yeah, Mark.
Yeah, the beauty of that and what you're looking at, that's a key point to the MREA is people have gone before you. And models come from modeling. And all they did is they studied at that time the millionaire real estate agents and took good notes and said, what are you doing? And they saw patterns and they saw, okay, these are the duplicable steps that if you follow them, they will make the same, that make the impact. And so they're following tried and true paths to get there. And I think that's the key is you can model anybody. Just make sure you're modeling somebody that's not the 100-air real estate, but the millionaire real estate.
Yeah. Be careful. That's a good point. Be careful who you're hanging out with, who you're watching. Not everybody's great. Especially in a world where there's social media is so prevalent that you can talk a big game and maybe not really have done much, right? So be careful. I'll give you my bona fides. Is that how you say it? Is bona fides, is that a French word? I don't know, whatever it is. Bona fides, whatever.
Yeah.
We're at about a little over 1,500 transactions, I think, almost 700 million in sales. I own 13 properties, I think. So there's some experience there. 20 years in the business. So do I know everything? Not even close. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure I don't know very much, but at least I know that.
That's why I hang out with you, John. I want to
learn. Yeah, don't we all? Julie, give me some info on this.
The thing I was thinking is, and you kind of made the point briefly, is be very careful who you follow. There are so many podcasts and people who, can buy some equipment, get a microphone, and suddenly they're an expert. And that's how they think that they're going to generate business. And so then they start talking on their podcast, and they've got, you look them up, and they've had their license for less than a year and have had 2 sales, and they're sitting there talking to different people and putting stuff out there that is, people who've been around the block a few times recognize as being not just not good information, but completely wrong and bad advice. So and I've had a number of people on my team, they'll come to a team meeting and they'll say, I was listening to this podcast and this person said this, and you're saying the opposite. So which is true? And like John said, he owns 13 properties, been around the block a few times. And that's what I will say to people who are watching, listening, be very, very careful who you're taking advice from, because if they don't know what they're talking about, check their background. What have they done? What's their success? How long have they had their license? Be very careful who you listen to. There's a lot of people who call themselves experts, and they absolutely are not.
But keep in mind, there are multiple ways of doing this. If the end result is to be wealthy, there are a massive number of paths.
Agreed.
Now, there are 4 models, and Shana had them. I'll put them back up here. That generally speaking, right? So, let me get to them. Okay, economic, lead gen, budget, and organization. Okay, right? Lead gen, right? How are you going to lead gen? There's different ways of doing lead gen. Budget. If you don't know how much it's costing you to be in business, you ain't going to be in business very long, right? And there's a lot of ways to handle your accounting side of it. Organization. This is when do you hire? And who do you hire first? How do you pay them? All that kind of stuff. What's the economics, Mark?
So the economic is really, a lot of real estate is math. You can dial in, if I want to make X based on the average sales price of my activities, this is how many I need to sell. Too many agents have an ego goal of, I want to make this, or I want to sell this many units. I had a client that said, I want to sell 33. And I said, why? And he said, well, that's just a number. And I said, no. Let's figure out the economics of what you're wanting to hit at. And it came to find out he only needed 26 to hit his goals. And so real estate is in many ways math. The success is math.
It's easy to back into it. You look at, okay, what are my expenses? And I need at least that. What do I need to pay off my debt? How fast? And what do I need to achieve some goals beyond just being at 0, which is, being able to pay your bills each month? What's your average? What's, is it 2, 2.5, 3? What is your average commission rate? Most of us aren't getting 3 anymore. And you back into it by saying, how many sales do I need to make this number versus that number? And how many phone calls or door knocks or, open houses, how many face-to-face, voice-to-voice contacts do I need to make to generate a referral, a contact, an appointment that ends up closing? And then once you back into it with those numbers, you know exactly how many, because you have to do it based on the actions you can take, not the outcome. I want X closings. What does that mean?
Process.
You have to know how many contacts, face-to-face or voice-to-voice, you need to make. And then you have daily goals on voice-to-voice and face-to-face, because you can control that. You can't control the closings.
Right.
Love it. Love it. So online, I had somebody comment. So you went from 0 to 43 listings. And yes, you never, well, that's not true. You went from 0 to 1 to 2 to 5 to 10 to 20, etc. But I write on there, not overnight, took 7 months. She writes, that's great, but it's unheard of in my market. Okay. To which I respond, be careful. You keep telling yourself that you're going to always get that result, right? I'm pretty sure most folks didn't think flying was a thing until Orville and Wilbur Wright showed up. I think electric cars were a thing that wasn't going to happen until Elon Musk shows up with Tesla. If you tell yourself you can't have 40 listings, you're not going to have 40 listings. You lose. So be careful.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. You're limiting yourself, and you could say, not in my market, in any market. And I'm not been in every market. My first year in real estate, I had 48 closings, which most people will say that's unheard of. Yes, I'm in the Phoenix metro market, much easier to achieve, but don't limit yourself by your market, because how many listings are there? How many closings are there in your market? And how is everyone else working compared to you? Don't limit yourself.
How this relates to the models is if you go get the MREA book or you start looking at it, don't take on an attitude, well, that was them, that was there, that was then. The question is, okay, I hear that. How can I do that? Or how can I pick a thing?
How many calls can you make in a day? How many appointments can you go on in a week? How many, open houses? How many face-to-face? How many doors can you knock? It's face-to-face and voice-to-voice. That's what lead gen is. Figure out how you're going to get face-to-face and voice-to-voice. And yes, social media can be helpful, but that's not it. It's not. It's face-to-face and voice-to-voice.
What are you experiencing, Destiny?
Well, for me, I'm a big fan of if it's not broke, don't fix it. And those models have been there and they've stood the test of time. I think it's important for newer agents to get a coach. I saw your post this morning, and I don't know how agents come in and aren't coaching or aren't in some type of coaching program with a coach. So being easily coachable and teachable is important. But what surprises me, I have found, is how many agents aren't lead genning, aren't circle dialing. And I call every day and get questioned, does this work for you? Are you actually getting leads this way? Yeah, it works. You've just got to follow the models. And I think that there are people who try to get creative and do it their way, and it doesn't work.
Love it.
Imagine that work works.
Mm-hmm.
Always has, always will. Always be pushback on it, though. Mark, you have any more on that?
No, I think that within this, it's get super focused. And if you're not following a model, very few people are just so brilliant that they can recreate a way. You master the models, then you will find your creativity. And that's it, mastery before creativity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's talk about it. You're going to win the day. What I want you to do when you get off this call is take a few minutes, think about it. How are you going to get your 40 listings, or whatever your version of 40 listings is? What is your career going to look like, right? Start with the end in mind. I want to have enough passive income that I can retire in the next 10 years, whatever your thing is. And then just start putting a plan together to do that. All right. So when you leave here today, think about what you're going to build and how you're going to build it, and just write it down. It's this little recipe card for success for you. Okay. It's going to be wrong. Parts will be right. Parts will be wrong, whatever. But you're going to start. You're going to start moving forward. You can get to a fork in the road, and you're going to take it. All right. And it's either going to be the right choice or the wrong choice. And you're going to go, and there'll be another fork, and you make decisions with the information you have at the time. Sometimes you're not going to have very much information. You're going to have to use your gut. Sometimes you can have a lot of information, and you're going to have to sift through it fast and furious, but just keep going. So today I want you to leave this call and think about the end, where you're going, right? And then create a little card, put it on a recipe card. Don't write too much about how you're going to get there. And then at least you'll be in the right frame of mind. And that'll be the MREA. set. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
Nailed it.
I like it.
All right.
I mean, and I would say, here's the thing. Everyone thinks that they're going to invent this unique way of cutting to the front of the line. And one of the things that you learn in music is you have to learn the skills. You have to learn the basics. You cannot improvise until you've mastered the basics. So, whether it's line dancing or learning music, you have to learn the basics before you can go out and do it on your own. So everyone.
That's weird you bring that up. I was just a natural at line dancing. Weird.
I'm sure. and the point I'm making is you can't go do it your own way and think you're going to be successful until you learn the basics. You have got to learn the basics and the fundamentals. So do that first, get successful. But how many face-to-face, voice-to-voice do you need to achieve your financial, break even, and then go beyond that? Figure that out and go from there.
Boom shakalaka. All right, there you go. I think you have enough to get started. To win the day, though, think about where you're going. Write out a little plan on how to get there, and just first step. Okay?
Love it.
Have at it. See y'all tomorrow. Let's go.
Yeah.
Hi, guys.
Bye.